Yes, the kingdom of Buganda still continues, and we now look at the factors that led to the decline of Buganda kingdom. As we said, that it could not go beyond the 20th century. And of course, it was because of internal and external factors. So when we are concluding here, we shall say, in conclusion, the factors for the decline of Buganda kingdom were internal and external. Or we can say they were social, political, and economic. That one we already saw on the first topic where we are guiding candidates how to answer your questions. Yes, and what makes an essay very smart. So factor number one is size. We saw this one as a factor for rise, and we are looking at it as a factor for decline. Factor for decline, as far as size was concerned, is that the kingdom had become too big to be managed. We saw the expansion in all directions. Yes, we saw the expansion in all directions. We said it was originally a small nucleus of only three counties, of Chadondo, Maokota, and Busiro. So that was the nucleus, small as it was. But because of the conquests and annexation in all directions, it became a very big empire. This is the one we are holding, and what? An empire. Because it had extended in all directions and became bigger. So because of this size, it became impossible to manage them very well. Yes, so it was too big. It's like somebody who has a big land which he does not even use square miles and square miles of land. So you can't tell what is happening in the last square mile. So this is a problem that rocked Buganda. It had become too big. It had become too big and extended in all directions. And that one will bring us to another point here. Yes, why is it declining? Because of the weakened army. This one we shall look at it as the last point. But before that, we are looking at the incompetent rulers. The rise of incompetent rulers. We saw Buganda being able to rise and expand because of the strong kings they had, Kabakas. Men like Mawanda, men like Kamanya, men like Semakokiro. But it reached a point by the 20th century where the kingdom now started having weak rulers on the throne. And by the way, the weak rulers are the ones that finally sold the kingdom away. We shall see those ones later. With the coming of the Europeans, they found the weak rulers, the whom they convinced easily to sign, for example, the 1900 Buganda Agreement. So they were convinced by the Europeans. So those are weak rulers and who could not keep the empire or the kingdom intact. What does that one mean? To keep it solid, to keep it as a unit. Because they could not do that, it was easy to be attacked, and that's why it declined. The decline of trade. With the decline of the long distance trade, or the collapse of the long distance trade, it meant that Uganda's revenue reduced. because of the decline of the long distance trade. That was trade with the coast, with the Arabs, and they could not export, they could no longer export their tobacco cloth, they could no longer export their minerals, no longer export slaves, and so on. So the revenues started declining day by day, and even the internal trade itself within themselves was also dwindling day by day. So that one led to the eventual collapse of Buganda. Severe famine. Severe famine was another factor for decline. Buganda was rocked by terrible drought. It was as a result of the terrible drought that was between the 15th and 16th centuries. There was terrible drought. That drought brought severe famine, and of course the famine led to heavy, there was a high death toll. There was a high death toll. People died in big numbers. The Buganda population reduced as a result of the family that rocked their kingdom. Civil wars in Uganda. There was a series of wars, very many wars, internally. And because of this unrest, it was not easy for the kingdom to move on. So the civil wars that disturbed the kingdom created the unrest or political instability, leading to the eventual decline of the kingdom. External pressure. This was pressure from the neighbors. The neighbors, especially Bunyoro. When you look at Bunyoro's raids in Buganda, the Kabaka was always on tenterhooks, on utensil, because of the strength of the Bunyoro kings. So the continuous pressure from the neighbors, especially Bunyoro, can also explain on the eventual decline, because it weakened the kingdom so much. It weakened the kingdom in all aspects, the social, political, and economic aspects. So the society that had been for long praised for being one was disintegrated, and once again it went into total decline. Outbreak of epidemics. Buganda, as if the drought was not enough, it was also rocked by the outbreak of epidemics, which included smallpox. Smallpox was the most disturbing. They were also rocked by syphilis. Yes, syphilis. They were also attacked by syphilis, and this one also can explain on the high death toll of the Buganda. They died in big numbers, and because of the death toll, the kingdom had to decline, because the kingdom cannot grow without the people. So the Buganda died in big numbers, hence the decline of the kingdom. Rebellions. They are, apart from the civil wars that created unrest, there were many rebellions, and these rebellions were common in the Buvuma Islands, where Buganda had also annexed part of the Buvuma Islands, and these were in the Sese. These were in the Sese sub-region. Those are the islands in Lake Victoria. So because of the rebellions, it took time for stability to come, the Buganda were always in trouble. This region was very important to the kingdom because it provided a lot of revenue to the Uganda kingdom. So when it became unsettled, it meant that the entire kingdom also was unsettled. So the Kabaka took time to go and create order in the Buvuma Island. In fact, he was even assisted by the Europeans, like Stanley, Henry Morton Stanley, also participated in the stability of the Buvuma Islands. But of course, later, this one can also explain on the eventual decline. Misunderstandings between the Kabaka and the chiefs. Despite having total control and authority over his chiefs, there is a time when some chiefs became disloyal. Yes, there was a lot of disloyalty from some chiefs, especially from the conquered states. They became so unruly, they became indisciplined, they could no longer listen to the Kabaka's orders. And what does that one mean? It brought about insubordination of the chiefs onto the Kabaka, because they no longer had respect, and the Kabaka no longer had a grip on them. So because of the continuous disloyalty from these chiefs, it meant that the kingdom was bound to collapse. The breaking away of conquered states. The breaking away of the conquered states. States like Budu, states like it was Budu, not Budu. Budu, Buwekula, even Busoga. All these started declining. They started demanding for their independence. No wonder they finally broke away, because of the continuous demand for independence. They continued demanding for their independence until the independence was granted to them by Buganda, because the kings could no longer hold on. They could no longer have a grip on them. Conflicts within the royals, and those are the Abambeja. We are calling them Abambeja. N'abalangira. Abambeja n'abaki? N'abalangira. The royals were not happy. What made them unhappy was the system of succession, where the son was chosen early by the leading chiefs. But it reached a point when these royals realized some dirty work in that. They realized that some of the ministers were inclined to some of these. The choice, at times the choice they made was the wrong. No wonder. That's why others they chose were finally deemed to be incompetent. Before I can look at the European pressure, that one comes, I want to come last. It is the weakened army that brought the eventual decline. The army had been weakened so much, Abamboa, they became so dormant. The army became dormant and able to fight and able to defend the boundaries of the what? Of the empire. They could not defend the boundaries. They were attacked easily, and they could no longer keep the empire intact. So the continuous weakness, and of course the army was weakened by these pressures from Bunyoro and those others. So if the army is over-attacked, it became so weak and unable to defend the boundaries of the nation. And lastly was the European pressure. The Europeans were determined to do what? to take over completely from the Buganda authority. And no wonder when the Europeans came, they declared the Buganda part of their protectorate, and hence the loss of independence. With all this, the empire could not go beyond the 20th century.